Chosen one, before you listen to anyone else, listen closely to this. You have no idea who you really are. You've been walking through life thinking you were just surviving, but heaven has been watching you carry disappointment without becoming bitter, carry pressure without collapsing, carry questions without losing your faith. There are weights you've been holding that would have crushed other people, but somehow you're still here, still standing, still breathing. That's not luck, that's calling. You felt it, haven't you? That deep, unexplainable heaviness in your spirit. The sense that you've always been different. Even when you tried to fit in, you've been strong for too long, silent for too long, patient for too long. And people look at you and see calm, but they don't see the wars you've fought in private. They don't know how many nights you cried and still showed up the next morning. They don't know how many times you almost gave up, but something in you wouldn't let go. That something is not random, it's your spirit. And your spirit has been carrying more than you think. You were trusted with pressure because you were built for purpose. You were allowed to feel isolated because your path requires clarity. You were pushed into uncomfortable seasons because comfort would have kept you asleep. The pain didn't come to destroy you, it came to awaken you. Every delay, every betrayal, every silent season was shaping your discernment, sharpening your strength, and teaching you how to hear God when everything else went quiet. You're not weak because you feel deeply. You're not lost because you question. You're not behind because your journey looks different. You are chosen. And chosen ones often don't recognize themselves until the weight they've been carrying finally reveals the power within them. This is not just another message. This is a reminder, a wake-up call, a moment where heaven whispers to your soul, remember who you are. Because once you do, everything changes. And being divinely chosen does not mean living a perfect or easy life. It means your life was marked with intention before you were ever aware of it. You were not placed on this earth by chance, coincidence, or random circumstance. Long before you had a name, before anyone formed expectations about you, there was a purpose attached to your existence. To be chosen is to be selected with foresight, trusted with responsibility, and shaped for something that goes beyond personal comfort. Many people mistake being chosen as being favored in obvious ways, but often the opposite is true. Those who are chosen are usually introduced to pressure early, because purpose demands preparation. You may have noticed that your life has carried an unusual pattern. Situations seemed heavier for you than for others. Responsibilities came earlier, loss felt deeper. Questions lingered longer. This is not because something was wrong with you, but because something was placed inside you that required stretching. Being chosen means heaven saw capacity in you that others could not see, and that capacity had to be developed. Gold is not chosen because it looks good in the ground, but because of what it becomes after the fire. In the same way, you were selected not for who you appeared to be, but for who you were meant to become. When you are chosen, your life often feels misunderstood. People may label you as too much, too serious, or too different, without realizing that distinction is a signature of calling. You don't blend easily because you weren't designed to disappear into crowds. There is an inner pull you feel, an unexplainable sense that your life must mean more than routine survival. Even when you tried to settle for less, something in you resisted. That resistance is not rebellion, it is remembrance. Your spirit recognizes that it was not created to live small. Being chosen also explains why quitting never fully worked for you. You may have wanted to give up, walk away, or numb the weight, but something kept interrupting your exit. That interruption is purpose refusing to release you. Chosen lives are inconvenient because they are governed by assignment, not preference. You were preserved through things that should have taken you out, because your existence is connected to something larger than your current understanding. Divine choosing does not elevate you above others, it anchors you deeper into responsibility. It means your life carries influence whether you acknowledge it or not. Your survival alone is proof that your presence matters. Every breath you take is evidence that your story is still unfolding, that your name was not written in error, and that your being here is intentional, sacred, and aligned with a plan that began long before you were aware of it and is still moving through you now. There is a strength living inside you that you have not fully identified yet, because it was never meant to announce itself loudly. It developed quietly, formed in moments where you had no applause, no reassurance, and no visible support. This hidden strength did not come from confidence, it came from endurance. Every time you were forced to keep going while feeling unsure, something within you adapted. Every time you carried disappointment without letting it harden your heart, resilience was being built. You learned how to stand without being celebrated, how to remain kind while being misunderstood, and how to move forward even when clarity was absent. That is strength, even if it never looked dramatic. Most people assume strength shows itself as boldness or dominance, but your strength has expressed itself as persistence. You survived emotional weight that was never acknowledged. You carried responsibilities that were never assigned but somehow became yours to bear. You were the one who stayed composed while others fell apart, the one who absorbed pressure so the situation wouldn't collapse. Over time, this became normal for you, so normal that you stopped recognizing it as power. What you call just getting through it is actually evidence of an inner capacity that exceeds what you've given yourself credit for. This hidden strength is also why you feel tired in ways rest doesn't always fix. You haven't just been living, you've been holding things together. You've been thinking deeply, feeling deeply, and caring deeply, often without an outlet. Strength that is always used but never replenished begins to feel like weakness, not because it is gone, but because it has been overextended. Yet even in that exhaustion, you continue to show up. That is not habit, that is spiritual endurance. You underestimate yourself because your strength didn't come packaged as confidence. It came disguised as patience, adaptability, and emotional depth. You learned how to read rooms, sense shifts, and anticipate needs before they were spoken. This awareness is not accidental, it is part of your design. You were built to carry insight, to hold space for others, and to remain steady when uncertainty rises. That kind of strength doesn't shout, it stabilizes. The reason you haven't fully recognized this strength yet is because it has been functioning in survival mode. You were using it to get through, not to step into. But survival strength and purpose-driven strength are not the same. What has been keeping you alive is the same force that will eventually position you to lead, influence, and uplift. The strength you think you lack is already active within you, waiting for recognition, direction, and permission to move beyond endurance into expression, beyond coping into becoming, and beyond what you thought was possible into what has always been present within you. Your spirit has been fighting battles that no one ever saw, wars that never left visible scars but demanded everything you had on the inside. There were moments when nothing dramatic was happening on the outside, yet internally you were wrestling with doubt, fear, responsibility, grief, and unanswered questions all at once. You learned how to smile while carrying heaviness, how to speak calmly while your thoughts were in chaos, and how to keep moving even when your motivation was depleted. These were not small struggles, they were silent ones, and silent battles often require the most strength because there is no audience to validate the fight. Unseen battles shape a person differently. When pain is public, it often comes with support, sympathy, and understanding. But when pain is private, you become your own source of encouragement. You had to talk yourself through days when no one checked on you. You had to find meaning when explanations never came. You had to steady yourself emotionally while still being dependable for others. Your spirit adapted to pressure and isolation, and that kind of endurance changes how deeply a person is formed. You didn't just survive moments, you learned how to carry weight without dropping your integrity, your compassion, or your faith. There were internal conflicts you never spoke out loud because you didn't want to burden anyone, or because you knew few would truly understand. You questioned your worth, your direction, and sometimes even your strength, yet you kept functioning. You showed up to life while parts of you were tired, confused, or hurting. That required a spiritual resilience most people never have to develop. Your spirit learned how to self-regulate, how to remain grounded under emotional stress, and how to keep hope alive even when evidence was limited. These unseen battles also explain why certain things affect you more deeply than others. Your spirit has been stretched, so you feel life intensely. You notice shifts, sense undercurrents, and pick up on things others overlook. That sensitivity is not weakness, it is the result of having survived internal storms. You've learned to navigate emotional terrain with caution and awareness because you've already walked through valleys alone. The battles you endured sharpened your discernment and strengthened your inner compass. What you went through did not harden you, it refined you. Your spirit learned endurance, patience, and quiet courage. You became someone who can hold space for others because you know what it feels like to carry weight without recognition. Those unseen battles did not drain your spirit, they expanded it, giving you depth, strength, and capacity that will one day make sense in ways you have not yet fully realized or named. Pressure often feels like a sign that something is wrong, but in reality it is one of the clearest indicators that something important is being formed within you. Nothing valuable is created without pressure. Diamonds require it, muscles grow through it, and character is shaped by it. When pressure increases, it is not to break you, but to reveal what you are capable of carrying. The reason you have felt consistently stretched is because your life holds significance that demands expansion. Ordinary paths do not require extraordinary endurance. You have experienced seasons where expectations felt heavy, where decisions carried more weight than you felt prepared for. and where the margin for error seemed small. It felt unfair, especially when you watched others move freely while you were held to a higher standard. But pressure does not choose randomly. It gravitates toward capacity. You were placed in situations that demanded more because there was more within you to be drawn out. The weight you felt was not meant to crush you, it was meant to activate you. Pressure exposes what is hidden. Under ease, potential stays dormant, but under strain, strength is forced to rise. You discovered resilience you didn't know you had because quitting was not an option. You learned discipline because chaos would have cost too much. You developed patience because rushing would have broken what was being built. Every time you adapted instead of collapsing, you proved that the pressure was not greater than your ability to withstand it. Even when you felt overwhelmed, you were still growing. The discomfort of pressure also refined your priorities. It taught you what truly matters and what you can no longer carry. You became more selective, more discerning, more intentional. Pressure has a way of stripping away what is unnecessary so what is essential can remain. That process is uncomfortable, but it is purposeful. You are not being punished by pressure. You are being prepared by it. What made pressure feel so heavy is that you were carrying it without fully understanding its purpose. When meaning is absent, weight feels unbearable. But when you recognize that pressure is shaping you for something greater, it becomes more manageable. You begin to see that resistance is not opposition, but refinement. The very forces that seem to work against you are actually working within you, molding your capacity, strengthening your resolve, and aligning you with a future that requires depth. Pressure is not the enemy of your life. It is the evidence of your assignment. It shows that your path is not casual, that your influence will not be small, and that your purpose requires strength that could only be developed under strain, intensity, and sustained endurance that continues to expand you beyond what you once believed you could handle. Loneliness is often misunderstood as rejection or abandonment, but for those with a deeper calling, it is frequently a byproduct of alignment. When your life is moving in a direction that requires clarity, growth, and inner strength, separation becomes necessary. Not everyone can walk with you where you are going, and not everyone is meant to understand the path you are on. This does not mean you are unlovable or forgotten. It means your journey requires space for transformation. Loneliness is not always the absence of people, but the presence of purpose working quietly within you. You may have noticed that even when surrounded by others, you still felt alone. Conversations felt shallow, connections felt temporary, and belonging felt incomplete. This inner distance exists because your spirit is tuned to something deeper. You crave meaning, authenticity, and truth, not just companionship. When those needs are unmet, solitude becomes more comfortable than forced connection. This is not isolation as punishment, but solitude as preparation. It is in these quiet spaces that your identity is refined without interference. Loneliness also teaches self-reliance on a spiritual level. When external validation fades, you learn to listen inwardly. You learn how to sit with your thoughts, confront your fears, and understand your emotions without distraction. Many people avoid being alone because it exposes them to themselves, but you were guided into it because you needed to develop inner stability. Strength that depends on constant affirmation collapses when approval disappears. Strength formed in solitude becomes unshakable. There were moments when you questioned why support felt limited when you needed it most, why encouragement was scarce during your hardest seasons. But that absence was shaping discernment. It taught you to differentiate between presence and purpose, between people who comfort and those who sharpen. Loneliness revealed which voices mattered and which distractions had to fall away. It simplified your life so your focus could deepen. This kind of loneliness also builds compassion. Because you know what it feels like to feel unseen, you become someone who sees others. Because you know the ache of silence, you learn how to listen deeply. Your ability to empathize was strengthened in quiet places, where your heart learned patience and understanding without applause. Loneliness is not a sign that you are behind, it is often a sign that you are ahead, walking a path few are willing to take. It creates room for growth, clarity, and spiritual depth. Those seasons were not meant to last forever, but they were necessary to shape you into someone who can stand firmly in purpose without needing constant reassurance. Someone whose confidence is rooted not in crowd approval, but in inner knowing and quiet strength that continues to guide you forward. Pain often arrives dressed as loss, disappointment, or delay, making it easy to believe it exists only to wound you. But pain is rarely random. It has direction, intention, and timing, even when it feels overwhelming. What you experienced was not designed to punish you for mistakes or shortcomings. It was shaping you for what your life would eventually require. Punishment seeks to break, but preparation seeks to build. And what you went through built layers within you that comfort never could have formed. You faced moments that felt unnecessary, unfair, and deeply personal. You wondered why certain doors closed after you had given your best, why people walked away when you needed them most, and why progress seemed slower for you than for others. Those moments were carving discernment into your spirit. Pain forced you to ask deeper questions, examine your values, and redefine what truly matters. Without realizing it, you were being trained to see clearly, to trust wisely, and to stand firmly when outcomes were uncertain. Pain also stripped away illusions. It removed false security, unhealthy attachments, and expectations that would have limited your growth. When something hurts, it gets your attention, and attention leads to awareness. Through discomfort, you learned where your strength actually comes from. You discovered limits you had to respect and capacities you had to expand. Pain didn't weaken you, it revealed where you needed to grow, and then gave you the opportunity to grow there. There were lessons pain taught you that encouragement never could have. It taught patience when answers were delayed. It taught humility when control was lost. It taught resilience when quitting seemed easier than continuing. Each time you endured instead of retreating, your inner foundation became more solid. You became less reactive, more reflective, and more grounded. These qualities were not accidental outcomes, they were the result of experience refining your character. Pain also gave you empathy. Because you know what it feels like to hurt silently, you became more gentle with others. You learned how to listen without judgment and support without needing recognition. That sensitivity is not weakness. It is evidence that pain expanded your emotional and spiritual range. You can now hold space for others without losing yourself because you were taught how to survive your own storms. What felt like setbacks were actually positioning moments. What felt like loss was making room. What felt like delay was aligning timing. Pain was not the end of your story. It was a chapter that strengthened your voice, clarified your direction, and prepared you to walk forward with wisdom, depth, and purpose, shaped by experience rather than comfort and strengthened by everything you endured along the way. You have often been told, directly or indirectly, that you feel too much, that you take things too seriously, or that your emotions run deeper than necessary. Over time, this made you question whether something was wrong with you. But what you interpreted as sensitivity was never fragility, it was depth. Your ability to feel deeply is evidence of an inner awareness that goes beyond the surface of life. You don't just experience moments, you absorb meaning from them. You sense emotions, intentions, and shifts long before they are spoken, and that awareness comes from a spirit that is finely tuned, not weak. Sensitivity allows you to perceive what others miss. You notice tones behind words, pauses between sentences, and changes in energy within rooms. While some people move quickly through life untouched by what surrounds them, you move thoughtfully because your spirit is always processing. This is not a flaw. It is a form of intelligence. Emotional and spiritual depth require openness, and openness requires courage. It takes strength to remain receptive in a world that encourages numbness as protection. Because you feel deeply, you also carry deeply. You don't easily dismiss pain, whether it is your own or someone else's. This makes life heavier at times, but it also makes your presence meaningful. People may not always know why they feel understood around you, but your sensitivity creates safety. You hold space without forcing solutions. You listen without rushing responses. That capacity comes from depth, not weakness. It is the mark of someone who has learned how to sit with complexity instead of avoiding it. Your sensitivity also connects you more closely to purpose. You are moved by injustice, affected by suffering, and stirred by beauty and truth. These responses are signals that your spirit is aligned with something greater than self-interest. You are not meant to live detached. You are meant to engage, to feel, and to respond. The very things that overwhelm you at times are the same things that allow you to connect, inspire, and heal. There were moments when your sensitivity made you retreat, when the world felt too loud or too harsh. But even then, your depth was working. You were learning boundaries, discernment, and self-awareness. Sensitivity without wisdom can overwhelm, but sensitivity refined by experience becomes strength. You learned when to open and when to protect, when to give and when to rest. What you carry emotionally and spiritually is not excess, it is capacity. Your depth equips you to understand nuance, to navigate complexity, and to remain compassionate without losing insight. You were not built to skim the surface of life. You were built to go deep, to feel fully, and to translate that depth into understanding, empathy, and purpose that flows naturally from who you are and continues to shape how you move through the world and touch the lives around you. Being misunderstood is one of the quiet costs of being uncommon. When your perspective does not follow the usual patterns, people often struggle to place you into categories that make sense to them. Instead of asking deeper questions, they label you, simplify you, or misinterpret your intentions. This can feel frustrating and isolating, especially when you are not trying to be different, but simply being honest about who you are. Yet misunderstanding is not a sign that you are wrong. It is often a sign that you are ahead, operating from a level of awareness that others have not yet reached. You have likely experienced moments where your actions were questioned, your silence was misread, or your depth was mistaken for distance. People may have assumed you were cold when you were thoughtful, prideful when you were discerning, or passive when you were actually processing. These misinterpretations happen because uncommon minds and spirits do not move at the same pace as the crowd. You pause before speaking, you observe before reacting, and you consider consequences before making decisions. To those who live quickly and superficially, this can feel confusing or even threatening. Uncommon people are often mirrors. Without intending to, you reflect things others avoid seeing in themselves. Your questions challenge comfort. Your boundaries disrupt expectations. Your presence invites honesty. Not everyone is ready for that, and when people feel uncomfortable, they often project that discomfort outward. Rather than recognizing your depth, they assign motives that make them feel safer. This is not because you are unclear, but because clarity can be confronting. Being misunderstood can tempt you to shrink, to explain yourself excessively, or to dilute your truth to be more acceptable. But doing so would cost you your authenticity. Your role is not to be easily understood by everyone. It is to be aligned with who you are meant to be. Those who are meant to walk with you will recognize your heart without needing constant explanation. They will sense your intention even when your expression is quiet. Misunderstanding also refines you. It teaches you discernment, emotional maturity, and restraint. You learn when to speak and when silence holds more power. You learn that not every opinion requires correction and not every assumption deserves a response. This restraint strengthens your inner confidence, shifting your focus from external validation to inner clarity. Being uncommon means your life will not always be comfortable, but it will be meaningful. The misunderstanding you endure now is often the distance between where others are and where you are going. In time, clarity replaces confusion, and what was once questioned becomes recognized. Until then, your responsibility is not to convince, but to remain grounded, consistent, and true, allowing your character to speak where words fail and your path to unfold in ways that reveal the value of being exactly who you are in a world that has not yet learned how to fully see you. Carrying spiritual weight means living with an awareness, responsibility, and sensitivity that goes beyond ordinary experience. It is not about titles, visibility, or how spiritual you appear on the outside. It is about what your inner world is asked to hold. When life places heavier emotional, moral, and spiritual demands on you, it is because your inner structure has the strength to support them. Light assignments do not require deep roots, but heavy ones do. The depth of what you carry reveals the depth of strength that has been built within you. Spiritual weight often shows up as responsibility you did not ask for. You feel accountable for outcomes, people, or decisions that affect more than just yourself. You think deeply about right and wrong, about impact, about purpose. Your choices are not casual because you sense consequences before they happen. This awareness can feel burdensome, especially when others seem free to act without reflection. But that freedom often comes from shallower responsibility. You were not designed to live lightly because your influence was never meant to be light. This kind of weight also requires emotional and mental strength. You process life at a deeper level, which means you feel conflict, injustice, and uncertainty more intensely. You cannot easily ignore what feels misaligned. Your conscience is active, your intuition alert, and your inner compass constantly engaged. This level of sensitivity demands strength because it requires you to remain grounded while navigating complexity. Without inner resilience, such awareness would overwhelm rather than guide. Spiritual strength is not loud or forceful. It is steady, disciplined, and anchored. It allows you to remain composed when others react impulsively. It gives you the ability to pause, pray, reflect, and respond with wisdom rather than emotion. This strength was built through experience, through lessons learned in quiet moments, and through endurance during unseen struggles. You were strengthened gradually so the weight you now carry would not crush you. There were seasons when you felt stretched beyond your limits, when the expectations placed on you felt excessive. Those seasons were expanding your capacity. Strength had to grow before responsibility increased. Just as muscles develop under resistance, your spirit was trained through pressure, silence, and perseverance. What once felt heavy became manageable because your strength was rising to meet it. Spiritual weight is not a burden meant to exhaust you. It is an assignment meant to position you. It shapes your character, sharpens your discernment, and deepens your wisdom. The strength required to carry it has already been placed within you, refined through challenge and sustained by purpose. You were not given this weight by accident, and you are not carrying it alone. It exists because you were built to hold it, to move with it. and to allow it to shape a life that carries depth, influence, and meaning far beyond what is immediately visible to others. Being trusted with heavy assignments is both an honor and a test, one that often goes unseen by the world around you. It is easy to look at your life and think the pressure, responsibilities, or challenges you face are unfair or random, but in reality, they are evidence that you are capable of more than you realize. You were chosen to handle weight that others could not because there is a depth in your spirit that has been quietly cultivated through seasons of endurance, patience, and resilience. The tasks you carry may feel overwhelming at times, but that is only because they are meant to stretch you into the fullness of who you are meant to become. When you are entrusted with responsibility, it is not simply about completing tasks, it is about shaping character, refining discernment, and strengthening faith. Heavy assignments require you to operate beyond surface-level understanding. They push you to think carefully, act wisely, and stay aligned with your purpose even when outcomes are uncertain. The world may measure success by visible results, but spiritual assignments are measured by the integrity, perseverance, and depth of character you demonstrate while carrying them. That is why so many of the burdens placed on chosen ones feel invisible. They are meant to be transformative internally first before becoming apparent externally. There is also a sacred element to being trusted with responsibility that is easy to overlook. When God or destiny entrusts you with weight, it signals that your life is interconnected with larger purposes. You are not carrying this alone, and the significance of what you hold goes far beyond your immediate understanding. Every challenge, decision, and moment of endurance is contributing to a story that has ripple effects you cannot yet see. Being entrusted with heavy assignments is a declaration of confidence from the universe. You are capable, prepared, and essential for what is coming next. These assignments also teach resilience in ways comfort never could. You learn to operate under pressure without breaking. You develop patience when the results you desire are delayed. You grow in wisdom by navigating complex situations that do not have clear solutions. Heavy responsibility hones your instincts, strengthens your judgment, and deepens your empathy because you understand that your decisions affect more than just yourself. The weight you bear becomes a teacher, shaping your spirit, refining your mind, and expanding your capacity to handle even greater purposes. Being trusted with responsibility is not a random occurrence or punishment, it is preparation. It is a sign that your spirit has been recognized, that your capacity has been noted, and that you are being positioned for influence, leadership, and impact that cannot be achieved without the strength you are now developing. The very burdens you feel are proof that you have been chosen, and that your readiness to carry them is exactly what will define your future. Your survival is not an accident, and it is not merely a product of luck or timing. Every day you have endured, every trial you have faced, and every challenge you have overcome is proof that your life carries significance beyond what is visible to the world. Survival is evidence that something greater has been at work, guiding, protecting, and sustaining you when circumstances might have suggested otherwise. When you look back at the moments when you felt like giving up, when the weight seemed too heavy or the path too uncertain, the fact that you are still here is a testament to a resilience and divine oversight that cannot be ignored. Often, people underestimate the power of mere survival. They fail to recognize that continuing to show up, to breathe, to move forward, and to persist in the midst of difficulty is a demonstration of strength far greater than any external accomplishment. Your survival tells a story about your character, your faith, and your inner capacity. It shows that no matter how challenging life became, you were equipped to endure. You may not have understood at the time why you were able to keep going, but every step forward was evidence that your spirit had been fortified to carry more than you realized. Survival also reflects the unseen guidance and protection surrounding you. There were moments when circumstances could have ended your journey, when obstacles could have defeated you, but they did not. This is not coincidence. It is a sign that your life has been held, that forces beyond your understanding were working to preserve your purpose. The storms you faced were real, but your endurance through them proves that your existence matters, and that your story has not yet reached the chapters it was meant to write. Survival itself is a message that you are being prepared for something greater. Your survival validates your potential to carry responsibility, influence others, and fulfill the purpose set before you. It is the foundation on which your future strength is built. Every moment of perseverance, even when unnoticed by others, is evidence that you can be trusted with more opportunity, more responsibility, and more significance. Survival is the proof that you are capable of handling pressure, pain, and challenges that would have crushed someone less equipped. You may not always feel powerful, and you may sometimes doubt your own endurance, But the simple fact that you have made it this far demonstrates what you might not yet fully see, that your life has been intentionally preserved, that your presence is significant, and that the capacity to overcome has always been embedded within you, waiting for the right moments to reveal the depth of your resilience and the strength of your spirit. What tried to break you actually became the very thing that built you. Life has a way of testing the limits of your patience, your faith, and your endurance, often in ways that feel overwhelming at the time. You may have faced betrayal, disappointment, rejection, or failure, and in those moments it felt as though the universe was conspiring against you. But what you perceived as destruction or defeat was often the process through which your inner strength, resilience, and wisdom were being forged. Adversity is rarely meaningless. It functions as a mold, shaping your character and preparing you for challenges that lie ahead. Every struggle you faced required more than just surface-level coping. You had to adapt, rethink, and sometimes redefine your understanding of yourself and your circumstances. Each setback demanded reflection, endurance, and courage. These experiences, although painful, provided opportunities for growth that comfort never could have offered. What seemed like obstacles were actually lessons in disguise, teaching you how to navigate complexity, handle disappointment, and emerge with a deeper sense of clarity and purpose. Without these trials, the depth of your character would not have been revealed or strengthened. Pain, hardship, and failure also teach humility. When life pushes you to your limits, it strips away pride and self-sufficiency, reminding you that there are forces larger than your understanding guiding your path. At the same time, these moments highlight your hidden capacities. You discover that you are stronger, wiser, and more resilient than you ever gave yourself credit for. What initially felt like breaking becomes a revelation of endurance, a demonstration that you are capable of carrying more than you ever imagined. Betrayal and disappointment, though bitter, teach discernment. They force you to evaluate relationships, trust more carefully, and recognize the motives of others with greater clarity. They sharpen your instincts and allow you to approach life with a deeper awareness, reducing future vulnerabilities. What once would have shattered your confidence now strengthens your judgment and self-reliance. Even the failures you experienced have a transformative purpose. Each misstep forced you to recalibrate, to find new strategies, and to persevere with renewed determination. What tried to break you did not succeed because your spirit refused to yield completely. Instead, the pressure became a catalyst for growth, the resistance became fuel for persistence, and the struggle became evidence of your emerging strength. In retrospect, what felt like devastation was actually construction, an invisible architecture forming within you, building the resilience, wisdom, and fortitude that will sustain you through every challenge yet to come. You carry more than your own story. You carry the potential to create breakthroughs that extend far beyond yourself, reaching generations that came before you and those yet to come. The burdens you bear, the lessons you learn, and the endurance you demonstrate are not only shaping your own life, but also influencing the lives of those connected to you, whether directly or indirectly. Your actions, decisions, and resilience set patterns that can break cycles of limitation, fear, or failure that have existed in your family, community, or spiritual lineage. In this way, what you experience is not just personal, it is generational. Many times, the weight you feel is heavier than what seems reasonable for a single life. This is because you are not carrying only your own expectations or challenges, you are carrying the hopes, dreams, and struggles of those who came before you. Their unresolved wounds, unfulfilled potential, and hidden burdens often find their way into your experience, and in learning to navigate them, you become a vessel for transformation. By enduring, growing, and persevering, you disrupt cycles that would otherwise repeat, and you create opportunities for those who come after you to walk paths that are lighter, wiser, and freer. This generational breakthrough is not always obvious. Often it manifests quietly through subtle shifts, a change in family dynamics, a new perspective that inspires younger generations, or a legacy of integrity and faith that slowly takes root. Your choices ripple outward, touching people you may never meet, influencing circumstances you may never fully understand, and planting seeds that will bear fruit long after your immediate efforts are complete. What you do today is connected to a chain of impact that stretches both backward and forward in ways that are invisible but undeniable. Your endurance and growth also carry lessons for those watching you, even unknowingly. By confronting challenges with courage, by maintaining integrity when tested, and by holding to faith or purpose when circumstances seem overwhelming, you provide a living example of strength and possibility. Others learn from your perseverance, your wisdom, and your capacity to rise despite adversity. This is the essence of generational breakthrough. Your life becomes proof that limitation can be overcome, pain can be transformed, and resilience can produce change that lasts beyond a single lifetime. The reality of carrying generational breakthrough is that it transforms how you view your own struggles. No longer are trials only about personal survival or success. They are also opportunities to honor those who came before you and to pave the way for those who will follow. Your endurance, patience, and intentionality take on a weightier, more sacred meaning, revealing that your life is intricately connected to the broader story of legacy, influence, and transformation that is far bigger than yourself. Awakening begins with remembrance, the moment your spirit reconnects with the truth of who you really are, beyond what the world has told you or what circumstances have made you believe. For too long, you may have walked through life under assumptions about your limitations, your worth, or your purpose, shaped by other people's opinions, your own fears, or the trials that tested you. But the truth of your identity exists independently of all of that. It is embedded in your spirit, waiting to be remembered, and when you reconnect with it, everything in your life begins to shift. Many people go through life reacting to situations rather than responding from a place of awareness. They allow external pressures, disappointments, or judgments to define their worth or dictate their choices. But awakening calls you to pause and reflect. Who are you when the noise disappears, when expectation falls away, and when survival is no longer enough? That question is not rhetorical, it is transformational. It demands honesty, courage, and self-reflection. It invites you to see yourself as more than the sum of your experiences, more than the labels assigned to you, and more than the limitations that others believe define you. Remembering who you are also means reconnecting with your strengths, gifts, and spiritual depth that have been cultivated quietly through every challenge you have endured. Your endurance, your sensitivity, your discernment, and your capacity for empathy are not accidental traits. They are evidence of the design, purpose, and preparation that have been at work in your life. When you consciously acknowledge these qualities, they stop being hidden tools and begin to become active forces shaping your future. Awakening is the shift from unconscious survival to intentional living, from reacting to existing to responding with clarity, power, and purpose. This process also requires releasing old narratives that have held you back. It involves recognizing lies you've believed about yourself, doubts that have been planted by fear or criticism, and patterns that no longer serve your growth. As these fall away, the truth of your identity becomes undeniable. You begin to see that your life is not about fitting in, avoiding pain, or seeking validation. It is about stepping into the fullness of who you were created to be, embracing your assignments, and aligning with the destiny that has always been calling you forward. Awakening is a gradual but powerful realization that your past, your trials, and even your mistakes were never the sum total of who you are. They were preparation for recognition, growth, and alignment. Once remembrance begins, your perspective shifts, your confidence strengthens, and your actions carry intentionality. The recognition of your true identity becomes the spark that ignites transformation, the foundation from which every decision, every relationship, and every challenge is approached with renewed clarity, strength, and awareness of the power already within you. This moment is a call to rise into your identity, a gentle yet urgent reminder that who you are meant to be has been waiting for you to fully step into it. For too long, you may have underestimated your value, questioned your purpose, or felt weighed down by responsibilities, challenges, and the expectations of others. Yet all of these experiences, both the joyful and the painful, have been preparing you for this exact point in time. The circumstances that once felt like obstacles were actually shaping your character, sharpening your insight, and strengthening your spirit so that when the call comes, you are ready to respond with clarity, courage, and confidence. Rising into your identity begins with acknowledgement, seeing yourself for who you truly are rather than who the world has told you to be. You are not defined by mistakes, setbacks, or misunderstandings. You are not limited by past disappointments or temporary failures. The essence of your being has always carried potential that is far greater than your current perception of yourself. Recognizing this truth is the first step toward awakening the power that has been quietly growing within you. It is a process of remembering your spiritual depth, your resilience, your wisdom, and the unique strengths that position you to fulfill your purpose in ways that are profound and far-reaching. When you answer this call, you shift from merely existing to intentionally embodying your purpose. Every choice, thought, and action begins to align with the deeper calling of your life. You start to move with deliberate intention rather than reacting impulsively to circumstances. This alignment amplifies your influence, sharpens your discernment, and enhances your capacity to navigate challenges without losing sight of your higher purpose. Rising into your identity is about embracing both the weight you carry and the strength that has been cultivated through your experiences, recognizing that the very things that once seemed like burdens are actually the tools and lessons necessary for you to thrive. This moment also requires courage, because stepping into your identity often means breaking free from familiar patterns, challenging limiting beliefs, and walking a path that others may not understand. It is not always comfortable, and it may invite scrutiny, criticism, or resistance. Yet the resistance you face is a reflection of the magnitude of your potential and the significance of your calling. Your life has been curated in such a way that you are equipped to handle these challenges, and every step forward reinforces the truth that you are capable, prepared, and meant to rise above limitation to fulfill the purpose embedded within you. Rising into your identity is ultimately about living fully as the person you were created to be, embracing your purpose, and allowing the depth, strength, and resilience within you to guide every step, decision, and interaction, transforming not only your own life but the world around you. You have carried more than you realize, endured more than you can measure, and survived moments that would have broken others. Every trial, every season of silence, every weight on your shoulders has been shaping the strength, depth, and resilience that define who you truly are. You are not ordinary. You are chosen. Your spirit has been tested, refined, and prepared for a purpose far greater than comfort or recognition. The struggles were never to defeat you, they were to awaken you, to reveal the power and potential within that has been quietly growing, waiting for this very moment. Now is the time to step fully into your identity, to embrace the calling that has always been yours, and to carry forward the lessons, strength, and wisdom you have gained. Your life is not just about surviving, it is about rising, transforming, and influencing generations. The weight you carry is not a burden. It is proof that you are capable of bearing responsibility, breaking cycles, and leaving a legacy that extends far beyond yourself. Remember, everything you have endured, every challenge you have faced, and every moment of quiet perseverance has prepared you to rise into your true self. You are stronger, wiser, and more powerful than you've been led to believe. The world may not always understand, and the journey may not always be easy, but your spirit has already been equipped for greatness. Rise, chosen one. Step into the fullness of who you are. Carry your purpose boldly. Let your strength, depth, and resilience shine as a testament to the life that was intentionally designed for you. You are ready, you are equipped, and the time to awaken to your true identity is now.